Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Let's Taste with the Intrepid Wino. My name is James Garsbrook. Ollie is not on this edition, he's in the other room having an afternoon nap, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to open some samples. I think this is part 3 in a 3-part kind of series looking at D'Arenberg wines. D'Arenberg has been a great supporter of the YouTube channel and Let's Taste, and has consistently been sending samples to me, which I'm very appreciative for. Thank you very much to D'Arenberg. You are, of course, one of the most important parts of the success of the Intrepid Wino YouTube channel, and I'm always grateful and privileged to have an opportunity to look at new vintages from producers like D'Arenberg, particularly when we are looking at icon wines like this. I kind of pinch myself that I get the opportunity to open wines of this kind of caliber. We're looking at 3 wines, all from 2015 vintage, and they are pretty much the 3 heavy hitters of D'Arenberg, representing the most important grape varieties, certainly as far as red grape varieties, from the McLaren Vale in South Australia. So without further ado, let's start off at this end, looking at the Ironstone Pressings, which is in 2015 vintage, 48% Grenache, 47% Shiraz, and just 5% Mourvedre. Recommended retail price for this, and in fact all 3 wines, is $70 Australian. So Grenache, Shiraz, Mourvedre, as I probably have said on previous editions of Let's Taste, is a blend that you see very commonly in southern Rhone, and in fact other parts of the south of France, in Languedoc-Roussillon, probably even Provence, that kind of thing. And it is a blend eponymous with regions like McLaren Vale and the Barossa Valley here in Australia. Typically Mourvedre using much smaller percentage than the other 2 varieties. In fact, Mourvedre, 100% Mourvedre wines are pretty rare indeed. So right off the bat, we can see it's a pretty serious amount of colour here, quite intense, quite inky, bordering on sort of a black-red colour, not so much purple though. Straight away, really sort of velvety, dried raspberry candy, red skins almost, blood plums. We're starting to move into some of that pork fat, beef jerky kind of aromas. Reasonably toasty, very, very inviting, really classic, solid vintage McLaren Vale red. Let's taste. Considering the nose, again, I'm really, really impressed with how fresh this wine is. It really hasn't been bashed around too much. It's not super heavy. It certainly is not oaky. I think D'Arenberg really has been doing an amazing job of paring back everything, keeping things a little bit more fresh, vibrant, and very, very food friendly. Very impressive. I'm still tasting it. There's quite a lot of length to this wine. There's a nice bit of savouriness, but it's all about that lovely juicy fruit without the tannins being awkward, ungainly, or sweet. This is nice and dry. So extremely, extremely solid start with the Ironstone Pressings from D'Arenberg in 2015, and I would say well worth the $70, the recommended retail price. Second one, probably the most famous of the icon wines, the Dead Arm. I believe it's listed on Langton's. It is a consistent, collectible, cellarable wine. So again, 2015 vintage, recommended retail $70. The Dead Arm is 100% Shiraz. absolutely just explodes out of the glass. Really vibrant aromatics. Much darker fruits now. We're moving from sort of the raspberry plum notes into more blackcurrant, ribena, blueberries, slightly more floral notes as well. Sort of less of the rusticity of the Grenache and more of the silkiness of the Shiraz. Very concentrated, again extremely inviting. Let's taste. Certainly more concentration of tannins than compared to the Ironstone Pressings. Drier, broader on the palate, more fruit dominant, less rusticity, earthy, dried meat characters, much juicier, fuller, really fills the palate. Amazing concentration. This is an absolute standout Shiraz wine for Australia, and I think for the punters who love their classic Australian Shiraz, or Australian Reds for that matter, this is a wine that's not going to disappoint. That being said, I don't think it's one that's going to light the fires of your kind of young, cool hipster type. I think it's important that people taste a wine like this to understand why it's so important in the Australian wine context, particularly in the export markets. But solid. I think people who are going to buy this wouldn't have any issue paying $70. Again, good acidity, good freshness, lots of potential for cellaring. The third and final one is the Coppermine Road Cabernet Sauvignon 2015. Again, recommended retail $70. Cabernet, which I found out when I visited McLaren Vale on a trade visit back in 2011. Cabernet is an extremely important variety to the region, as it is to many regions in Australia. Cabernet is a very bankable variety to have, and they take a lot of pride in the quality of Cabernet. That's not a variety that I do have a lot of affection for, particularly in McLaren Vale. There can be some great wines from them, but it does sort of devolve into dry red wine rather than great Cabernet or Cabernet blend. But I'm always keen to try something new and happy to be convinced otherwise. Much more subtle and subdued than I have seen from this wine, or from any Cabernet from McLaren for that matter. Just a light kind of dustiness to it. It's characteristically varietal, in that kind of cassis mould. Blackberries. But it's really quite subtle, quite complex. So I'm interested to see what it's like on the palate. Let's taste. Got a bit of a kick to it. Whilst it is certainly representative of warmer climates, Cabernet, and it has this kind of a softness and juiciness to it, without really aggressive fine tannins. There is a bit of there's quite a lot of depth to it. It does carry really nice up on the palate. It's very well balanced. I really enjoy it. Again, it's very characteristic of the variety, but for me, I don't see as much McLaren Vale in this wine as I do with the first two. I think a Cabernet lover is probably going to enjoy it, but that being said, at $70, you can probably find some examples from Coonawarra and the Margaret River, which generally are more considered as Cabernet regions. So I'm sort of, it's a hard one. I think probably the best wine for me was the Dead Arm, but I prefer the Ironstone Pressings. I think I like that blend. I like that it's a little bit lighter and a little bit more savoury on the palate. But really, I think you're generally going to get a great wine when you are buying from Darrenberg, no matter what the price is. They really have got incredible pedigree and certainly got access to the vineyards that provide them with great wines. So thank you, of course, Darrenberg, for, as always, generously donating samples. I'm always keen and appreciative for any producer that is willing to submit samples for me to share my impressions here on the Intrepid Wino YouTube channel. Please do get in contact with me via my website. You can find that at intrepidwino.com. There's lots of different content there as well, including my podcast, the Vincast. Also a lot of writing I've done in the past about my travels around the world. And you can find me on social media at Intrepid Wino on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Make sure you share it on social media. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to share an icon Australian wine or icon Darrenberg wine drinking experience, I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to ask me a question, feel free. And make sure you subscribe to the Intrepid Wino YouTube channel for many more videos just like this one. But guys, until next time, cheers.